Altos is brought to you with the kind compliments of Rituals, Coffee House, and Belgrose Funeral Home.
Good evening and welcome to Altos, a weekly news and current affairs program produced by the Catholic News and broadcast on Trinity TV and TTT. I'm Roger Sant. Our top stories this week. TTUTA and the National Parent Teachers Association want resolution to the filling of over 200 vacancies at denominational primary schools. The Catholic News celebrates 134th anniversary as the country's oldest newspaper with a Thanksgiving Mass. Justice Trisha Hudlin reminds Catholic faithful they must never underestimate the power of God's love for them. Concerns about young people turning to vaping and the lack of regulation for the industry. And later we are joined by His Grace Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon as we discuss the recent ad limina visit to Rome and the Pope's encyclical on artificial intelligence. Our top story this week. As the Teaching Service Commission and the Association of Denominational Boards of Education work on filling over 200 vacancies at denominational primary schools, the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, TTUTA, is calling for tangible results. Laura Pickford Gordon got the views of TTUTA and the body representing parents on the issue.
President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Crystal Ash, says the umbrella body representing teachers has taken note of the diverging views coming from the Teaching Service Commission and the denominational boards on the filling of vacancies.
The Teaching Service Commission is saying that, yes, there's a pool of teachers that can be identified, that can be selected from. The boards are saying, however, not all those persons might be of their particular faith. And I understand that with the concordat and so on. So what I'm asking is kindly to find a solution. And the solution sometimes means that the boards themselves need to be a bit flexible.
Ash said if the advertisements for teachers were not attracting sufficient suitable applicants, then something was not working 100%.
TTUTA will encourage the boards to probably advocate a little more vociferously in terms of attracting the best candidates for their specific denominational school.
Ash said because of the situation, teachers are under a lot of stress and principals have no choice but to combine classes,
thereby making classes much larger. And in the situation where you have children with special needs, it also puts an added challenge in that equation to treat with larger classes that don't have teachers. Then there are some situations where the principals actually have to teach the classes.
Walter Stewart, president of the Trinidad and Tobago National Council of Parent Teachers Associations, said there's deep concern for anything that impedes the delivery of quality education.
Teacher shortage will impact negatively in all that we do in our education system. The teachers who are present would be stressed and would not be able to perform at their optimum if classes have to be merged or if they have to now attend other classes because there are shortages.
Stewart appealed to the authorities to ensure schools are adequately staffed and resourced to deliver quality education to the children of the nation. This is Laura Pickford Gordon for the Catholic News, Altos.
The staff of the Catholic News gathered on Wednesday for a special Thanksgiving Mass marking the 134th anniversary of the newspaper, Trinidad and Tobago's oldest in circulation since its first issue back in 1892. The publication has remained a source of Catholic teaching, information and storytelling for generations. Dale Sedeno reports.
Founded in 1892, the Catholic News is Trinidad and Tobago's oldest newspaper, still in circulation. This year, the publication celebrates 134 years since the release of its first issue on May 6th. The paper was founded by the 5th Archbishop of Port of Spain, His Grace Archbishop Vincent Flood. Over its 134-year history, the Catholic News has operated from 3 different locations. In its early years, the newspaper was based at Holy Name Convent, Port of Spain, before moving to Belmont, later relocating to Independence Square, and has since returned to Belmont. To mark the 134th anniversary, a Thanksgiving Mass was celebrated by Father Robert Christo on Wednesday. The Catholic News team offered prayers for all financial sponsors, writers, contributors, volunteers, and staff members, both past and present. In his homily, Father Christo reminded staff that reaching 134 years was no easy accomplishment. He said the journey required struggle, service, and sacrifice from all those who contributed throughout the years.
And that's what Catholic News went through. They've been through riot, war, COVID, 1970s, 1990. You have to be through it. And to reach where we are, one big circle of completion.
Reflecting on what he described as the 3 F's, Father Christo explained that while all people are flawed and broken in some way, God continues to shape them through formation until they are eventually filled with fullness in Him.
F stands for flow. The other F stands for formation. And the final one is fullness. But wherever you are, Jesus is not finished with you yet. Even those online, He is far from finished. We would have failed history and we would have made history as a Catholic News. That's just part of the flows. But we're still in formation to deal with all the different avenues and the delivery channels, and we want to experience the fullness of truth in our ministry and our work.
I am Dale Cedeno, reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
Congratulations to the Catholic News. Well, High Court Judge Tricia Hudlin Cooper is calling on Christians to move from spiritual dryness to renewal. The message came during the 6th Annual Fire Conference 2026, hosted by the Upper Room Prayer Group International at Trinity TV Studios last Saturday. Altos reporter Kaylan Jordan has more.
It is about doing the thing that He has called you to do. It is about entering into the life that He has called you to enter into.
Drawing from Ezekiel's vision of the Valley of Dry Bones, Madam Justice Tricia Hudlin Cooper challenged believers to move beyond simply existing. She used the well-known scripture to describe a scene of lifelessness and despair.
The hand of Yahweh was laid upon me, and He carried me away by the Spirit of Yahweh and set me down in the middle of the valley, a valley full of bones. There were vast quantities of these bones on the ground, the whole length of the valley, and they were quite dried up.
But beyond what could be seen, she pointed to a deeper question, one that speaks to faith in impossible situations.
He said to me, "Son of man, can these bones live?" I said, "You know, Lord Yahweh."
Justice Hudlin Cooper said the response reflects a shift from natural thinking to spiritual trust.
And so he was looking with the natural eye. But when he answered God, he answered with the eyes of faith.
She urged Catholic faithful to actively speak life into difficult circumstances.
So when you are looking at the dry bones, when we feel as though we are just existing, when we are feeling like a wasteland from our experiences, and we are asking, can these dry bones live? Our answer must come from a heart of faith that says, Lord, you know.
Her message culminated in a call to spiritual renewal and deeper trust in God.
All He wants you to do is recognize your need for His power. He wants you to live again.
I am Kaylan Jordan reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
This past weekend, the solemnity of Pentecost took on a special meaning at St. Francis of Assisi RC Church in Sangre Grande. The parish celebrated Mass with Father David Villafana, who was ordained just days earlier at the Minor Basilica. From the pulpit, he joked that he was only 3 days old and called on the congregation to manifest the Spirit of the living God, which should always live within us. Kaisha Best has more.
Saturday, May 23rd was no ordinary Saturday at the St. Francis of Assisi RC Church in Sangre Grande, as the faithful came together to celebrate the solemnity of Pentecost, which is celebrated 50 days after Easter and referred to as the birthday of the church. Father David Villafana stood before the parish for his first Mass as a newly ordained priest.
My name is Father David Mark Villafana. And I'm only 3 days old.
In his homily, he drew from the prophet Ezekiel's vision of dry bones, warning that individuals, families, and even ministries can become spiritually lifeless.
There are times where we're sitting in darkness and we enjoy it. We are comfortable in the dark times of our souls. We are comfortable slandering, attacking, bringing down people because we're bored of our miserable life. But here comes God. Here comes the Spirit, the advocate, saying, you are not boring, my child. You don't need to slander someone to raise you up. He died so that we may live.
He challenged Catholics to move beyond empty ritual, to stop hiding, and to rise outside.
You cannot go back into the tomb expecting to rise inside the tomb. You have to rise outside, and that happens in the kingdom here on earth as it is in heaven.
Father Villafana encouraged the faithful not to fear the fire of the Holy Spirit, but to let it burn within them. I am Clysha Best for Catholic News, Altos.
Pope Leo has presented the first major teaching document of his papacy, warning that artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed. Admitting that the word is strong, the Holy Father said it was deliberately chosen because, quote, this moment needs words capable of attracting attention, end quote. Encyclicals are technically letters to Catholic bishops, but over recent decades, the missives have become messages to the world from a pope. While this letter was largely focused on artificial intelligence, Pope Leo also included one of the strongest, most comprehensive apologies from the Vatican for the Catholic Church's role in slavery. We have more in this report from NBC.
Today, Pope Leo, leader of the 2,000-year-old Catholic Church, taking on a modern and urgent issue, artificial intelligence.
Let's not fear artificial intelligence, but constantly keep the question of the human in play.
Living in the age of AI is the subject of his first encyclical, Magnificent Humanity. The Chicago-born pontiff doing what no pope had done in recent memory, attending the presentation of this teaching letter to the Church, underscoring its significance.
Artificial intelligence now demands to be disarmed, freed from logics that turn it into an instrument of domination, exclusion, and death.
This is not about rejecting technology, the Pope writes, but preventing it from reducing people to data, taking jobs and the dignity of work, and being a power that stays in the hands of a few. He calls for government regulation, and while warning against what he says is a new type of slavery in the digital world, Leo criticizes the delay both society and the Church came to denounce the scourge of slavery, writing, "For this, in the name of the Church, I sincerely ask for pardon." Getting attention, the presence of AI giant Anthropic's co-founder Christopher Olah asking for help.
We need informed critics who will tell the labs when we are failing.
An offer Leo embraced.
I accept your invitation to walk together.
When we come back, His Grace Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon joins us live on set. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Altos. Well, joining us live on set now is His Grace Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon, Archbishop of Port of Spain, recently back from Rome and meeting Pope Leo XIV with the AEC bishops, the ad limina visit. And how was it hearing the Pope in speaking English? I mean, native language English. That must have been obviously a first.
That is a first. So we've had John Paul, who was very good in English. Pope Benedict was also very good in English. Pope Francis struggled, but okay. But to hear someone whose first language is English and have a conversation with them in an idiom that they understand completely, you understand them, it was very different.
Right, and Your Grace, this ad limina visit is normally every 5 years, but I think this one took a little longer because of COVID, etc., and the change in the papacy.
So we've been running 8-year cycles for the last little while. It should be 5, but then when Pope John Paul was an older pope, it got a little extended, and then even under Benedict, it got a little. So our last one was 2018. The one before that was 9 years before that. So yes, it's been running a little bit longer, but I think they're trying to catch up now. They have a younger Pope.
And what was Pope Leo's reception like in terms of some of the issues that the AEC would have brought to him, affecting the Caribbean, stuff like crime and those issues that you all would have taken?
So Pope Leo was amazing in every way possible. So I'm the president of the Bishops' Conference, so I gave the address to him on behalf of the bishops. The bishops, we worked on the address together, sent it out to them. Everybody made their comments so that people knew what we were coming with. And what were the things we brought to him? We are a periphery in a small part of the world, but we have a people who have a faith that's a big faith. We are the second most vulnerable for climate change in the world, the Pacific Islands and then us. And most of our high assets on the coastline, so any climate thing that happens, we are very vulnerable. So the other thing, our high crime, our family structures that have really been challenged over the last while. Then we spoke about, besides the societal issues, we spoke about some church issues. So for instance, we weren't represented fairly well in the last synod and synodality. So from the whole AEC bishops, I was the only representative. In the Pacific Islands, where they have a smaller number of bishops than we, they had 3 or 4 representatives, depending on which year it was, lay people and bishops and priests. So we brought that issue to him too. And then the last issue we brought to him, we said, Holy Father, we really would like you to visit this region. The government of Trinidad, and well, I didn't say which government, I said a government has invited you. He said, actually no, I said the government of Trinidad and Tobago. He said, when did that come? I said, it is being delivered to you as we speak, because an official copy went to the nuncio, who will send it officially, and then I took a copy myself and handed it to the Secretary of State, who manages all of those matters. So he said, I said, and there's another government that invited you before. And he said, when was the last time a pope visited you all? We said, well, the last time was in the 1980s. It was John Paul who was the last pope that we saw in our region. He said, that's a long time. He said, yes, it is. He said, and for us it was 1984, and then others were 1986, 1987, 1988, and they were just, small visits when and how it was possible. But the region would really love for you to come and visit us.
And is that something, based on your interaction with him, that you think could be on the agenda in the years to come?
Well, he didn't turn it down, and he certainly, not only did he listen, he engaged it. Now, if I wanted to deflect, I just wouldn't raise it. But the fact that he asked the question and asked when last and realized how long it was, we just pray and wait and hope that this is something that will happen. I know we raised it also with the Secretary of State when we visited him, and he acknowledged that. So that's one of the things we leave there. But I'll tell you another experience. When we had the conversation about representation in the synod. So that we met the Holy Father on Thursday. We met the synod, the General Secretary for the synod, Cardinal Grech, on the Saturday. So we started the meeting with the Cardinal, and he says, well, I just came from seeing the Holy Father, and he was more interested in telling me about y'all than in anything I needed to say to him. So I have to go back to him again because I didn't get my business through. I said, by the way, he said to me that you all are right. You all should have more representation in the synods, and make sure this next synod we start with this synod and give you another person in this synod.
So your visit and your interaction with him certainly made an impact.
So it told me a number of things. First, not only is he a deep listener, which you saw in our interaction, but he's a man of action. And he's a man who makes a decision quickly and moves it forward.
Right.
Because to speak to the Holy Father on Thursday and get the answer on Saturday of a matter that we thought was inconsistent with how the global church operates, I find that is just absolutely wonderful.
And what guidance did he offer in terms of some of the issues that you brought to him, and you listed earlier, stuff like climate change and crime? What guidance did he offer?
So we had a long conversation. Missionary priest was another one that we spoke. We had a long conversation on missionary priest. What's beautiful with him is he starts from his experience and he moves to universal principle. So he said, you know, with missionary priest, you must always remember that a man is leaving what he knows to come to what he does not know.
Right.
And when you receive a missionary priest, you might think he's not fitting into your culture, but you must also remember that he doesn't know your cultures yet. He's left something. He himself is in need of care and accompaniment when he arrives. And he's right. I mean, and we try to do that here. We always put a missionary priest with a senior priest from the diocese that you could ask the question over a meal, make it informal. So he had, I mean, really great insight and really great sense of the situation, but also wisdom that comes with that. With the other matters that we spoke about, we had, after the official pieces, we had another hour and a half with him, where he just very calmly went to question and answer. He raised questions, we raised questions, and very calmly we went through a lovely extended time of interaction with him. But the ad limina is not just a meeting of the Holy Father, right. It's also meeting all of the dicasteries.
And those are the various departments?
Departments of the church.
Right.
So, for instance, well, before I leave the Holy Father, you all saw in my thing that we spoke about pickleball.
Right.
Yeah, you saw that. But okay, leave that one alone. Leave that alone. and that was just so amazing. But I mean, with the Holy Father. But anyway, so we went to all the dicasteries. So these are the departments of the church: social justice, liturgy, all of them. You know, and in each department, integral human development, religious life, education, propaganda fide, which is our dicastery that oversees all of the third world churches. So in each department, it was really a deep learning lesson. The last time we had an ad limina, which was 2018, they were trying to get it, but you could see it was hit and miss. This time, what happened, it was the method that Pope Francis set in motion, it was very clear. We sat, they welcomed us. In many of the dicasteries, they commented on, I would do the first address, or the person leading that area. So in liturgy, Bishop Francis did the address. In human development, Bishop Francis did that because he leads those areas. So in the other ones, like propaganda fide, and so I would do the address. So one of us addresses. And then they would say, thank you. And then they say, in your report, now each diocese has to do a quintennial report and hand it in. And many of them said, in your report, and they gave details from all of our reports, which meant that they read the reports, right. They digested the reports, they entered into them, and they're feeding back to us. And the last piece of the conversation is they asked us, tell us what's happening in your area. And we started a conversation that way.
So we will have more from His Grace Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon on that ad limina visit in an extended interview. You can check it out on the Catholic News YouTube channel, which is The Catholic News TT, and it will be live at noon on Saturday. So we'll take a short break here on Altos and check out our extended interview with His Grace on YouTube.
In this Sunday's issue of the Catholic News, it's the second issue of our new 8-page supplement for youth and young adults, #MadeForMore. Our Lady of Fatima RC Church in Creb was the host venue for a week-long workshop on palliative care in late April. And with the annual solemnity of Corpus Christi on next Thursday, Vicar for Communications Father Robert Christo answers questions on the Eucharist. Here is the clergy anniversary for the coming week. And some coming events. I'm Raymond Sims, editor of the Catholic News.
Welcome back. Well, young people smoking cigarettes has always been of serious concern with exposure to tobacco and other harmful substances. But for years now, they are gaining access to another way to smoke: electronic cigarettes or vapes. In this sponsored segment, Lara Pickford Gordon spoke to non-governmental organizations about the popularity of vaping among young people and the risks from a puff.
This sponsored segment of Altos is brought to you with the kind compliments of Belgrove's Funeral Home. We do more than just say we care.
Although there are no official local figures on youth vaping, Ministry of Education data for the 2021-2022 academic year showed that 235 students were suspended for possessing or using tobacco and vaping products, making it the second leading cause of suspension of fighting with weapons. Daria Narayan, Program Manager of the Samaritan Movement, which advocates in schools for trauma-informed education and resilience, told Altos that youth vaping has emerged in school sessions conducted by the organization.
What we've noticed is that within our group discussions with students, that vaping has come up time and time again. This is a reality that is impacting a lot of kids, a lot of children. It's seen as a popular trend, as pop culture. It's present in a lot of popular media as well, and therefore they've picked up and followed on those trends. We're seeing vaping rising in the schools. They hide and they do it in the bathrooms.
Narayan said the children admitting to vaping are between the ages of 15 to 18 years. He is concerned at the ease with which young people have access to vapes.
With regards to the school population being able to easily buy or purchase vapes if they need one through extended friendships or sometimes even through boys who might be actually selling the vapes in the school itself.
In talking to youth, Narayan said stress and peer pressure were the main reasons given for vaping.
Stress tends to be one of the major ones. They say that it relieves stress. The other one is because of their friends, colleagues who are doing it already, who say it's probably cool, and they see it as being something that's cool, that's trendy, so they engage in the behavior as well.
The Chest and Heart Association of Trinidad and Tobago, CHAT, conducts community outreach to schools, educating young people on the dangers of vaping. Peter Jeffrey, treasurer for CHAT, said youths have a misconception that vaping is safer than smoking a cigarette.
They think of it as just flavored water vapor. In fact, the smoke that comes out of a vaping device is actually an aerosol, and it's denser than water vapor. And because there are components of the e-liquid that goes into the vape that are oil-based, it is heavier than water vapor.
Jeffrey said young people are the primary targets for marketing of vapes.
They use bright, bold colors, they use these nice fruity flavors to really capture the attention of the youth. So we realize that this is a marketing tactic used by the tobacco industry to bring vapes into this target audience.
He said vaping carries risk, and CHAT is concerned that the vape industry in Trinidad and Tobago is unregulated.
So therefore, nobody knows for certain what are the components of a vape. So what we do know, there are harmful chemicals.
This is Lara Pickford Gordon for the Catholic News, Altos.
This sponsored segment of Altos was brought to you with the kind compliments of Belgrove's Funeral Home. We do more than just say we care.
And join us for part 2 of that feature next week. And that's a wrap on our show for this week. Thank you for viewing. We continue to urge you to pray for Trinidad and Tobago and for peace in the world. Read your Bible and learn your faith. Have a safe and enjoyable Indian Arrival Day holiday on Saturday and a faith-filled and holy Corpus Christi holiday on the 4th of June, Thursday coming. As we go, we leave you with some of the sights and sounds from the Pentecost Mass at the St. Joseph Roman Catholic Church in Tobago.
Was brought to you with the kind compliments of Rituals Coffee House. and Belgrove's Funeral Home. We do more than just say we care.